As a leader, where are you spending your thoughts, your time, your energy? And I use those three words very emphatically because those are first of all, they're our currencies. Our time and energy definitely are currencies. And our thoughts, well, unless anybody's got this recipe for shutting off our thoughts, most of us, we're thinking steady. We've got thoughts going on all the time. That said, we're not necessarily taking the time to observe them. So again, this is an invitation to ask yourself, where am I spending, where am I hanging out in terms of my thoughts, my energy, my actions? How am I being? And this is a good the pie chart, and I was actually inspired to create this pie chart basically as following a coach and following some of this coach's observation with his CEO clients actually. So this person's an executive coach, and she is an executive coach, and she works with CEOs. And after a lot of sessions recently, she put down some information and she did some tracking. And what she observed was that some of the leaders were being strategic and resilient. Some of the leaders were caught in fear. That's where they were spending a lot of their time, their energy, their thoughts. And then there was also a third category of very unfocused. And so fearful leaders she was observing the language. They were using a lot of words that were negative, were fear-based, a lot of doom and gloom. The unfocused group was, they were using some of those words, but they weren't totally caught up in fear. And to a certain extent, they were a little bit dismissive, and as she put it, unfocused. So they really didn't know or didn't really hang out in any particular area for any length of time. They seemed to bounce around a lot. So there was a certain nervousness, which also prompted the lack of focus. And then there were the CEOs, the leaders that were spending most of their time being strategic, being resilient, looking for opportunities. They were more apt to be open to new ideas and innovation and creativity. So again, my question, and I'm hoping some of you take this, are taking some notes for yourself. As a leader in your life, where are you spending your thoughts, your time, your energy? How are you being? And for those of you that may be saying, well, I'm at home right now, I don't know about the strategic thing, we can be very strategic at home. How is the home operating? And many of you have some real big challenges because we have kids that are staying home, we have partners that are staying home, we have other people that we're taking care of. There's a whole lot of things that are coming in to our homes, into that space, that are requiring us to rethink how we do things, how we are showing up, how really, really disrupting essentially a lot of routine and a lot of other accustomed to. So that is what I'm talking about in terms of being strategic and being resilient. Now, that said, I really do not want to dismiss the idea of being fearful, because fear is hanging out with us whether we like it or not, whether we want to admit it or not. Fear is hanging out with us. So fear is something that I have many, many conversations with. I don't think there's been one client that I have worked with that hasn't, that we haven't had a conversation about fear. And for some clients, It's maybe every other conversation. And that's okay because fear is real. It's part of life. And so my job as a coach is I'm never going to tell somebody that they can't be with their fear or just to, never mind that, think about, be positive. I'm not encouraging people to just be Pollyanna or being completely trusting 100% of the time. What I do often is challenge my clients, challenge people, challenge myself, first and foremost, to have a really good relationship with my fear, uh, which means anytime that we're going to have any good relationship requires some attention, requires some acknowledgement, requires some two-way communication. So I invite my clients to, and I'm inviting all of you to have a conversation with your fear. It wants your attention. Doesn't mean that everything that is going to come out is going to be um, valid or realistic. Some of it is maybe, quite far-fetched, but there's a lot of things right now that, because we really are in such a disruptive, I've never gone through anything like this. None of us have gone through a pandemic. Um, there's just so much uncertainty. So just spending some time acknowledging, giving some attention, writing it down, having conversations with it is really, really important. I'm going to come back to this slide later on. But for now, I really, really want you to think about it. Let's talk quickly about the unfocused part of this pie, because that's an area that I totally relate personally. I don't know how many of you can relate to spending some time spinning, spending some time really not clear where we should be throwing ourselves in, what direction should I be going into? What am I supposed to be doing today? What's the priority? What's not a priority? And sometimes just unfocused to the point where I can just really disengage. And again, there's nothing wrong with that because that's going to be the reality of the situation. So really, really inviting everybody to look at this graph, look at this pie, and just allow yourself to imagine being in any one of these portions, but for how long, and and just being okay with it, not judging. So if I'm in fear, I'm not going to judge. I'm gonna make time of that. I'm gonna make use of that time. I'm gonna make use of my time while I'm unfocused. I'm gonna cut myself some slack. It's gonna be really, really important. So plan B. I'm gonna get into it. So plan B, the formula, I did not make it up. I saw it a very long time ago and worked with it. Actually, my first coach used it all the time and used it as basically the structured approach in training. So in me, I learned it and now I just live it. And I continue to unravel it and use it with regards to my work because it really, really helps to create some format, create a template, create a process. People love the conversations, but at the same time, we like to see a bit of a format. We like to have a bit of a roadmap. So this is a really good formula. It's a success formula, and it's about self-empowerment and self-awareness. And who doesn't want self-awareness and empowerment? We absolutely want it now, but for the most part, we want that all the time. Plan B is about leadership, as I said earlier, about self-leadership. It is about having control. And I think one of the things that I hear a lot is we don't have a sense of control right now. It's really tough. I spend more time not knowing what is going to happen, when is something going to happen, what to do, what not to do. There really is a sense that we have lost a lot of our control. That said, for many of you, I'm sure you've experienced, maybe not to the extent of what COVID-19 is, but many of you, if you think back, you might have been thrown down, pushed down to the ground at a time in your life where something very serious happened, maybe traumatic, very, very stressful, where you did feel like you had lost control. And that's what happens. That's normal. That's what happens because I don't know about you, but I know for me, I spent a lot of my life um, thinking that I had so much more control, or that I was actually the general manager of my universe. Only to find out that I didn't have as much control on some things than I thought. And what I really, really learned on my journey, professional and personal development, particularly working with the coach, was that I really had to learn what I did have control over and what I didn't have control over. And one of the observations was that a lot of things outside of me is what I was spending a lot of time and energy and stress with regard to trying to control those things. And quite honestly, everything outside of me is a bit of a crapshoot. If I can't control how people are going to show up, I can't control a lot of things that are outside of me, but I can control what's inside of me. So this really is about that self-empowerment, that it is an inside job. So the formula goes like this: B plus do equals have. As I said, I didn't make it up. I just use it a lot. I repeat it a lot. I use it a lot. Now, this is how the formula goes. It only goes one way. It starts with B, then it goes into do, and then it goes to have. Many of you, if you look at this formula, may have used it in a different order, or you might hear people who use it in a different order, and that will sound like this. If I just had blank, then I could do blank. Or if I had more of this, then I'd be happy. I'd be more satisfied. If I could just do more, then I'd have this. You see how a lot of times we're starting off with have, or we're starting off with do, but the formula goes one way. B plus do equals have. Now, I am not actually going to tell anybody what to do. And I'm not even telling you that you have to use this formula. Again, I'm inviting you to think about it. But I think also what's important about this slide, and I really, really want to emphasize it, I don't think, personally, I don't think in a very long time, have I felt like I am being told what to do as much as right now. A lot of us, a lot of messages, a lot of people are telling us what to do. And one thing that I've learned, and it was through coaching, and it was through my own coach and being coached first and foremost, and then also practicing being a professional coach, is nobody wants to be told what to do. Nobody wants to be told what to do. Some people will argue and they'll say, sometimes I get that with my clients, and they'll be, no, actually, right now, I just want you to tell me what to do. I don't want to think. But really, nobody wants to be told what to do. So that is, keep that in mind because back to the formula, that is a self-empowering, it's a formula that you are controlling. You are in control of that formula. And I am not going to tell you what to do. So the middle part of that formula is not where we're going today. So plan B starts with self-awareness. Without self-awareness, again, it's kind of a crapshoot to self-manage. Some things are going to work out, some things are not going to work out, and we don't really understand why did that work out? Why am I having a good day today? What's the difference between today? What's the difference between yesterday? I just went through that for myself this week. Tuesday, crappy day. Wednesday, awesome day. What was the difference? What happened? But that requires some self-awareness and it requires some time to ask ourselves that question. And self-awareness without judgment, I might add. So again, there's the formula. So this is again where I want you to think and maybe even make some quick notes as I'm asking you the question. How am I being? So maybe look at the last 24 hours. Maybe look at the last week. I don't know that I want anybody to look beyond that because every week's been quite different and different levels of different things. But even if you just give yourself an opportunity to reflect, even on this week, we're already Thursday. How have I been this week? How am I showing up? What's my personal energy about? I have to bring in personal energy because, again, well, one, I call my practice personal energy. And for those of you who don't know why, it's because all we are at the end of the day is we're just energy. Yes, we have a name, we have titles, maybe we have, we have these bodies, we have, but really we're just energy. And our personal energy is broken down by mental energy, our physical energy, our emotional energy, our spiritual energy. I'm not going to get into that because we don't have enough time today, just skimming through it. But every one of those gears, if you will, every one of them is being impacted throughout the day. And it's either positive or negative. So for energy, where's it at? So how's my emotional energy? Is it in a negative funk today? Is it in a positive frame today? My physical energy, am I lethargic? Am I hyper? What's going on with me physically? Do I have some aches? Am I housing my stress somewhere? Again, that awareness. My mental energy, have I been focused this week? Am I able to even think straight? Am I manic in my thoughts? And while I think about it, and I meant to start off with this, coaching, a professional coach is not a therapist. So I am not showing up here or any time in my practice as a professional therapist or as a social worker, psychologist, psychiatrist. That is not my profession. So coaching is a resource for people who want to talk because they're not necessarily stuck or have maybe some things that have to be dealt with on a more serious, a more deeper level. So I just want to make sure that that people understand that this is not a therapy; it is coaching, and there is a difference. So coaching requires you to show up, and you can move forward right now. There's some people that can't move forward right now and that are traumatized. Like let's face it again, this COVID-19 is traumatizing. So I just want to be clear that this is meant for those of us that are able to see the forest for the trees somewhat, to we got, we can get through our day because we have enough mental health to do that. Um, Anyways, I'm not going to continue on about that. Hopefully, everybody gets that. So how am I being? What is my personal energy? The doing is what am I doing, and those are my actions. Like I said, I'm not talking today about what to do, what not to do, what you should do. I am certainly not shoulding on anybody. That's a word that I really, really attempt to use not very often. So no shitting. But this is what you want to ask yourself, right? And honestly, everybody has a to-do list, or not everybody, but a lot of people have a to-do list, rather. A lot of us just love that to-do list, and we wouldn't be able to operate without a to-do list. But again, this is an invitation to look at having a to-be list and to have a to-have list, which I'm going to get into. What is the opportunity here? That's a have. What is the opportunity? Your have is your result. And essentially, what's really, really important to note about the have is that is where your motivation is. So if you look at this slide right now, and you think, okay, well, I always have a good to-do list. I have an important to-do list. I have a very clear to-do list. Great. But are you really clear that where that to-do list is taking you? What opportunity are those to-dos linking up to? What are the results and how motivating are those results? Because a lot of us, let's be honest, we might be stuck in a to-do list that's actually not that motivating. And there might be some to-dos that actually need to be removed from that to-do list because they're not actually as important. And I think right now, my sense is working on what is important is where people want to be right now because it's trying time. So you really, really, the amount of time that how you are using your time, how you are managing your energy, it really requires some motivation. It requires that. So you get your motivation from your have, which then you go back to the be. So begin with the end in mind. With that, I'm going to start off with have. So I know I said you only use this formula in one way, but that is how it is activated. That said, we begin with the end in mind to get the motivation. I don't know if some of you have ever heard the expression positive future pacing or future pacing. Definitely something that I learned when I started working with my coach, and I worked. Every one of my coaches has used it in terms of a tool. So future pacing is imagining the future. Self-explanatory. It requires clarity. It oftentimes, I call it a mental rehearsal. I go in the scene, I imagine, and I actually see it happening. I see myself happening, and I rehearse. A lot of times, if I'm going to be going into a situation, I'm excited about it, but I actually rehearse how I might be showing up. It's positive future pacing. Future pacing is engagement with the experience. So where you're seeing it, you're feeling it, you're hearing it. So it really is really, really activating your imagination. And some of you, by the way, actually, We all do. We all do some of this. Future pacing, we do it. The difference is the invitation here is to do it consciously, to set some time aside to do it, to be with that the concept of just, letting yourself imagine what can be happening in the future. It's a roadmap that you're committed to. So if I future pace something and it is very positive and it's something that I want, remember the have, it's what I want, it's the result that I want, and I'm motivated by it, I'm more committed to the map. Now, doesn't mean the map is always drawn and is always very clear, but I'm more committed to having a look at it on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. And days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months. And next thing you know, you are in your future. The future becomes the present. And future pacing is based, or positive future pacing rather, is based on strategy. It's based on opportunity. It's based on resilience. There are many of you, maybe all of you, that if you think about it, you have done some positive future pacing. Sometimes for some of us, it's you get to a place in life or something happens and you just kind of, you're almost like, wow, this really happened. I can't believe this happened. I had thought about it. Yes, you had thought about it. Many of us will use the expression, I manifested it. That's what this is all about. I attracted it. I made this happen because I had envisioned it first. I think there's a quote, imagination is a preview of coming event, something like that. So have serves as motivation. So again, this formula, back to the formula, I'm using this formula, it's not rocket science. It's nothing that, I'm sure none of you are astounded by what it is that I'm presenting. But the reason that I thought it was so important for today's presentation is because we do not necessarily take the time. We do not take the time. We don't have enough time. We never have enough time. We have such a interesting relationship with time. But what I'm going to challenge everybody is to think about time. We don't manage time. Time is actually, it's how we manage ourselves. I will manage time in direct correlation to how I manage myself. I will respect time if I respect myself. So if I respect myself, if I have good intentions as a leader, I will make the time to hang out with this formula. I will activate this formula. I will allow it to serve me. But it takes time. It takes that self-management, that self-empowerment, that self-leadership. That's for anybody who might be in the audience right now and just, kind of maybe being cynical, maybe not really trusting or not buying into it, not buying what I'm selling. Hopefully you don't feel like you're being sold. And that's okay. It's absolutely okay to be questioning, to be maybe a little bit cynical. That's fine. As I said, this is just an invitation for you to think. You do you. You know you. Nobody else knows you like you do. So I just want to insert that slide for that. So back to the have. So we said have are results. They are opportunities. They are, that is where our motivation is. That said, I did talk about positive future pacing, but there's also negative future pacing. And there's a lot of that going on right now. And I'm not dismissing it. Definitely not. Again, we have to be real. We have to be with our fears. We have to spend some time there. And, because, as I said, if we choose to have a good relationship with our fear, like any good relationship, we are listening to it, we're spending some time. But as I told one of my clients the other day, we can give it some attention, we can acknowledge it, we can have good conversations with it. What we don't want to do with or allow our fears to do is to bully us, to boss us, to beat us up. So keep that in mind. So positive future pacing. So these are some potential hacks, and I've done a column for positive future pacing, negative future pacing. So what I want everybody to do right now is I want you to put yourself in the future. So I wish I could give everybody a date. I wish I could say July 1, August 1, September 1. I don't know. Pick a date that feels comfortable for you. So let's pick the September 1. And that's going to be, bring yourself on that date, bring yourself to that day, and imagine yourself sitting down and reflecting, or maybe taking a walk somewhere, sitting on a rock somewhere. Big fan of sitting on rocks and thinking and reflecting. So you're sitting and you're just reflecting back. So, do you have improved health? So, in September, that's September 1, has your health improved or has it deteriorated? And when I say deteriorating health, I'm going to be straight up because I do like to be real, and it's never going to be about being perfect. I don't do perfect. I have caught myself having more drinks than I need to. I have caught myself beating myself up emotionally. I have caught myself grabbing some food that out of boredom. It doesn't matter. I've caught myself dismissing some otherwise really good things that would help me because I don't know, maybe I wasn't having a pity party and that's where I was at. And that's okay, except if we don't realize how often we are doing. So again, if I want to have improved health or at least the same kind of health as I appreciate having right now, that's important in my health. Do I want to have strong relationships or do I want to have strained relationships? Do I want to have clarity regarding my values or do I want a lack of clarity regarding my life? Do I want to have COVID-19 and this time and this disruption take me down to the point where I really don't even know where I'm going to go from here? I want to have renewed energy regarding my work, regarding direction, regarding energy, regarding some creativity. I'm pretty good. Or do I want a lack of momentum? Do I want more order and peace in me, in my spaces, in my life, at my home, in my office, in my wherever it is? Do I want more order and peace? Do I want more chaos? Do I have at the end of COVID-19? Do I want to have ignited and inspired creativity, or do I want low self-confidence? Do I want growth and expansion, sorry, like non-zero? Or do I want no growth and possibly even a decline in growth? Do I want more gratitude? A lot of us are definitely having some interesting conversations and some activities regarding gratitude. Yeah. Or do we want more resentment at the end of COVID-19? Yeah, future pacing. Do I want satisfaction regarding how I serve? Will I be looking back? Will I be sitting there on the rock on September 1 going, yeah, I got some satisfaction because I did show up. I showed up. If I had to work, I showed up. And I just didn't show up. I showed up my best self. I showed up being resilient. Or did I just, maybe I had no lack of purpose, or maybe I was dissatisfaction. Maybe I just brought that kind of energy into anywhere that I would have otherwise been able to serve. So what would be a good have after COVID-19 as a business organization? About this one, we would like to have, and this is just positive future pacing, improved policies, streamlined processes. We would like to have a stronger team. We want better use of technology. Who doesn't, right? And so it's time to think about that. We want to have a renewed commitment to our vision. How many people may not even know what the vision is? Well, right now, if we don't have a vision, which is a have, really hard to stay focused and to be strategic. Which is why I put this next bullet. We would like to have a vision. So there's some organizations, some groups, some businesses, small businesses, large businesses. Is there a clear vision? Take some time and maybe work on that. We want to have some positive growth. We want to have respect, appreciation, and even a better reputation. So think about it. Positive future pacing. Your organization, what you're going to be looking back and you're going to be like, whoa, that was crazy. That was tough. I can't believe we all got through it. But we did, and these are all the haves. That's what we have now. Your plan B, what would be a good way to be during COVID-19? So this is the call to action. I want and choose to be. These are just examples. I want to choose to be strong. I want to choose to be loving. I want to choose to be compassionate. I want to choose to be empathetic. Really good time to be empathetic. Again, those of you who work with me, you know I'm going to say this. It starts here, then it goes out. Really hard for me to not be empathetic, loving, strong, compassionate with myself, but turn around and give that to everyone else. So starts here, goes out. I want and choose to be logical. Logical right now is a really good thing to be. We can't just be emotional. And that's coming from someone who's very emotional. I want to choose and be calm. I want to choose and be resourceful. There's so many different words. Make them your words. We want and choose to be. This again, for an organization, for a group, for a family. We want to be innovative. We want to be trusting. We want to be collaborative. We want to be kind. We want to be patient. We want to be resilient. We want to be open to change. How many times have we heard that this world is going to be different, is already different as a result of what has been going on? How are you setting yourself up to be open to change? And I do see a question, MJ, you got a question. What is the one piece of advice you can give to stay in a positive space during COVID-19? I think what I want to say, the first thing is, I don't think we could stay positive all of the time. And it's good, this question, I want to get back to it with another slide that I have. But keeping ourselves keep in mind, everyone, that being positive during COVID-19 is going to be more of a place to be, but not 100% of the time, first of all. So if you're out there and you're pressuring yourself, like if you're shooting on yourself, I should be more positive, or I should be positive, more often, or bigger part of my day, I should be positive. Maybe, but first and foremost, cut yourself a little bit of slack, because these are unprecedented times, and it's not realistic to be positive all the time. And the other part to this question that I'm going to answer right away before I get to that other slide is, being positive is also so much easier when you have a good relationship with your fear. So if you don't want to be with your fear and give it some attention, acknowledge it, and have a good conversation with it, it's really going to be difficult to pop yourself towards, or push yourself, or shift is a better word. It's going to be harder to shift towards being positive if you're not dealing with your fear. You have to be with it. You have to feel it. You have to acknowledge it. Otherwise, it's just going to hang on and hang in there. It's going to weigh you down. So that is a big part of that answer. I see the time. We're almost done the slide. So the invitation here is to ask yourself this question. Am I going to go through COVID-19, or am I going to grow through COVID-19? Big difference. Not easy. And like anyone who's ever experienced growing, there are pains, there's aches and pains, there's growing pains, there's uncertainty. There's a lot of answers that we do not have, but there is an invitation here for us to grow. So, I'm being back to pie. Not that pie. You know me, I'm all about pie. This pie. So, this is back to, and a little bit of answering that question, but as well back to the whole point of being self-aware and mindful of where we're spending our time, our energy, our thoughts. Our thoughts turn into words, our words turn into action. So this is just an example. And I took this example. I actually created the pie as a result of some of that inspiration that I was referring to at the beginning of the webinar with respect to that coach who had talked to a lot of leaders, and that there was 3 categories. So I took the same 3 categories, and I used it on myself, and I asked myself, it's like, okay, well, how do I want, ideally, what would I like my COVID-19 pie, that certainly doesn't sound as good as pecan pie, but, what's my pie going to look like? How am I going to spend my time? Where am I going to be? So this is how I divided my pie. So I said, well, I'm going to give myself 20%, up to 20% of my time to be with fear. I'm also going to give myself 20% of time to be unfocused. And quite frankly, I don't even have a choice because I'm ADHD. I struggle with focus. I work really, really hard to master myself with ADHD and to focus. And if you could imagine being self-employed, um, there's a lot that I have learned about having to focus. And then when if that wasn't enough, then you throw times like these, right? So we're all being challenged with focus right now. And that's okay. If I said to myself, and I'm giving myself permission to stop to 20% of my time of being unfocused. What I like about unfocused as well is I could also use that same area to completely disengage. I am going to, if I choose to be unfocused and disengaged today, that's okay. I gave myself permission and I turn it off. I turned my phone off on Friday evening. I put on airplane mode till Sunday. I wanted to stop focusing on COVID-19. I wanted to disengage. It was a holiday, not, as good as it could be. It was a break. It was a time out. It helped my personal energy so much. Then, resilient and strategic, I decided for me, I would like to be resilient and strategic 60% of my time. So whether I'm at home, whether I'm talking about my business, whether it's whatever, my involvement in different boards, I want to be resilient. I want to be strategic. I want to be about opportunity. That's what I'm choosing to be. So decide what your pie can look like. And you might even want to break out and have different additional pieces in there. So wrapping up, what is your plan B? How will you choose to be? What will you do and what will you have as a result? And the last thing is celebrate the little things. And I really, really, really want to emphasize small wins, small steps, small moments, celebrate them. Um, this is not a time for us to look for extremes. It's not the time for us to want to go from a 2 to a 10 on our, life satisfaction scale or happiness scale or wherever. Wherever you are, meet yourself there. Be there. Allow yourself some time, some space, some love as you look at what's going on and as you might make a little bit of course correction or make some different decisions or maybe just validate the decisions that you have been making. Maybe you are absolutely being as good as it's going to get right now and celebrate that. So that pretty much wraps up my presentation. Are there any other questions?
I'll just jump in here really quickly, Louise. I want to thank you very much on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce for joining us this morning for your webinar and your presentation. We appreciate it so much, as do our listeners, I'm sure. We have a few minutes to take some questions now. I wanted to also thank all of you for joining us today during these unprecedented times, and to please just be reminded to check out our up and coming Chamber Live sessions on our website and stay tuned for an email with today's link and recording. Louise's PowerPoint presentation will also be included in that, and her contact information. Thank you, Louise, again. I hope you all join us for our next Chamber Live. It will be held on Wednesday, called Chamber Live Town Hall with our elected officials. And Louise, if you want to take the last few moments to answer any questions that may come up, please go ahead and I'll let you sign off at the very end. Thank you.
Okay. I see there's a question. What tools do you recommend to better help us be calm, resourceful, strong, etc.? Now, I did say I didn't want to tell anybody what to do, but because you're asking, I've got permission. I'm just going to share some of the power tools that I recommend all of the time and that I use myself. And I would say one of the first and one of the most, I think my most powerful tool right now, and I know there's going to be some people that are going to roll their eyes or they're going to be like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And that's okay, but my number one power tool is journaling. For so many reasons, journaling is helping me be calm. It's helping me be resourceful. It's helping me be strong because the way I journal is the first the first part, the first 10 minutes, sometimes the first page are WTF, they are, or they're, it's where it's sort of where I put that first, you know, when you go in a room and you clean up, and you know that first layer, that's the first layer that goes on that page. It's just like, it's a good jump. It's a good, just let it out. There's no rules. I can say whatever I want. If I'm sad, if I'm angry, if I'm resenting, if I'm confused, if I'm happy, it doesn't matter. I just write out a first page. It really helps me though when I'm scared, when I'm sad, because that 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 cleaning, that purge, this, what it does is it opens you up. It opens me up and it calms me down because what did I do? I listened to myself. I gave myself some attention. Remember we said give your fear attention. Give it some love. So it's good quality time. And then by the time I get to my second page, now I just ask myself some questions. So I've calmed down. I have questions. I'm not judging myself. I'm not shooting on myself. I'm not screaming at myself. I'm asking myself some questions. I'm being resourceful. I'm just asking myself some questions. And then I start answering some of those questions. And that is where journaling has actually prompted me to activate the formula B plus B equals half, because oftentimes in my journaling I would have a to-do list, and then eventually I went, well, okay, how do I have to be? I would end my journaling with, how do I have to be today? How do I want to be today? How do I want to show up? And the word calm, the word strong, the word present, the word resourceful, the word loving, grateful, those are words that oftentimes come into my to-do list. And then they're sitting right next to my to-do list. But again, I also remind myself, what am I going to have at the end of the day? At the end of the day, I'm going to have peace. I'm going to have satisfaction. I am going to have an opportunity to review my day and be really, really grateful. So I'm going to have gratitude. I want that at the end of my day, especially now. I want to finish the end of my day, the end of my days, or not the end of my days, but yes, but every day, which turns into a week, which turns into months. And I'm hoping to end most of them in a pretty good place. There's going to be some days where, you know what, I started with the WTF, I ended with the WTF, but I'm not going to judge myself because tomorrow's another day. I hope that answered the question.
I see one more question coming in here, Louise. Maybe if you can answer Adriana's question, and then we'll wrap up. I know everybody has other commitments past this hour, but we're so happy that you were able to join us today and appreciate it so much.
And you're very welcome. I did, the question that I just referred to was Adriana. I hope I answered it. Adriana, you said thank you. I'm guessing that I answered it, and please feel free. Send me your questions. I'm on Facebook. I have personal energy coaching page. I have my personal, I have, just go to my website. There's a contact me a page there. So feel free to reach out, ask me your questions, or maybe we could set up a conversation. Okay? Thank you, everyone. Hang in, hang on. Let's be kind, compassionate, as we're all being very courageous. So I'm going to sign off, and thank you again, Chamber, for this opportunity.